Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where in the world you're joining us from. Welcome to our expert panel, Building the Data Foundation for Agentic AI with Snowflake and Precisely, brought to you by our friends at Precisely. I'm Jenna Holland, Director of Digital at Data Science Connect, the world's largest data and AI ecosystem for enterprise leaders. Today, we're excited to welcome attendees from all around the world to explore what it takes to build the trusted, high-quality data foundation that enables agentic AI systems to reason, act, and deliver value across the enterprise. AI is entering a new phase where systems are moving beyond content generation to reasoning, planning, and taking action in real time. But agentic AI is only as reliable as the data behind it, making data integrity, governance, observability, and performance critical from day one. Today's discussion with experts from Precisely and Snowflake will explore how organizations can build trusted, accessible, and well-governed data foundations that support AI systems operating with greater confidence and autonomy at scale. We'll look at common challenges from fragmented data environments and stale information to governance gaps, as well as how modern cloud-native architectures and data platforms are helping teams unify, enrich, and operationalize data for real-time AI use cases. We're honored to hear from a distinguished panel of experts today. Sam Mittal, Partner Solutions Engineering at Snowflake, Amy Metz, Product Management Director at Precisely, Shantanu Sharma, Product Manager at Precisely, and Don Spaulding, Senior Principal at Verizon, who will be moderating the panel today. Before we begin, a few housekeeping items. To make this feel a little bit more in person, we suggest that you add a photo to your profile and include your bio, LinkedIn profile, and other information you want your fellow attendees to see. Next, please take advantage of the Q&A and chat features in the right sidebar. We'll be addressing your questions throughout the webinar, so be sure to upvote the questions you'd like the panel to address. If you're wondering where your organization stands compared to others on your AI journey, check out the poll question in the right sidebar. And finally, to learn more about how to build the data infrastructure, governance, and data quality practices needed to support agentic AI at scale, check out the call to action below throughout the webinar from Precisely. Now, without further ado, let's kick off our panel.
Thanks, Jenna.
Thank you, Don. Welcome to the stage.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. I'm excited to speak with our colleagues here from Snowflake and Precisely. Let's kick it off, Sam. You were just recently at Snowflake 26, and in your role, you sit at the center of the ISV and AI startup partnership or ecosystem. From the summit, what were some of the announcements or the moments of the summit that you think were most directly relevant to what we're building towards with Precisely here today? I think you might be on
Sorry
mute,
about
Sam.
that. I forgot the classic mistake. Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Sam Mittal, and nice to be here. Thank you, Don. The announcement I keep coming back from Summit is Snowflake Intelligence. Snowflake operating as a control plane for the agentic enterprise. What that means is AI agents now have a governed enterprise-grade platform to ground themselves in reason over real data and take autonomous action. That's a fundamental shift from AI as a tool to AI as an operator. And what makes that directly relevant to the conversation we are having with Precisely is what I see across the partner ecosystem. Snowflake provides a platform, the compute, the governance layer through Horizon, the lineage, the agent orchestration, but the organizations deploying agentic AI in production are also asking a sharper question. How confident am I in the data my agents are acting on? Not just is it there, but is it accurate? Is it enriched? And entity resolved at the level an autonomous agent or the system needs. Precisely is one of the partners in our ecosystem that has gone the deepest on that question, natively inside Snowflake without moving your data. That's what makes this conversation timely. Summit told us that the agentic infrastructure is ready. This webinar is about making sure that the data underneath it earns that trust.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks. So sounds like a good event. Agentic, we use that term quite often. I'm sure agentic was a real big, probably a commonly spoken phrase at Snowflake 26 as well. It means different things to different people. So what I'd like to do here is I'd like to have each of you maybe tell me what it means to you and what it means to your business. Amy, why don't we start with you? Why don't you kind of give me your read on that?
Thanks, Don. Hello, everyone, again. Yeah, it's describing anything in one sentence is very, very difficult for me. So we're going to give it a go here. But I would say from a data team perspective that agentic AI means that the data and the foundation that it sits in needs to work for an autonomous machine to take action rather than a human, right? So there needs to be guardrails put around your data foundation to make sure that the AI isn't guessing, right? When the AI returns results from your prompt or your agents from your prompt, humans need to have reliability in that, or trust, I should say, in that answer, right? The AI needs to respond with reliability, and not only reliability, but repeatability is a very important part of this. When you have 3 different users asking an agent the same thing, they want to get back the same response, right? So that's what I think agentic AI means.
Amy, that wasn't bad. That was about 4 sentences, but that's good job.
I'll try to do better next time.
Yeah, that was good. I appreciate the effort. Sam, how about you? Your thoughts?
Yeah. Piggybacking on what Emmy said, right? From the platform side, agentic AI is what happens when the gap between insight and the action closes. There is no human reviewing the output before something happens in the real world. That changes everything about what the data layer needs to deliver. And it's why the question of data integrity has moved from the data team concern to a broader risk level uh, conversation with the whole company.
All right. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate it. Shantanu, how about you?
Hey everyone, nice to be here. I agree with Amy and Sam here. Agentic AI, we're seeing a lot of action happening with the frontier models, but for the data teams, it's not just about using the frontier model to build your AI agents. We saw what happened to Fable 5, it came and then was blocked. So the thing that data teams can focus on with Agentic AI is to really build a trusted data layer underneath. On the Precisely side, we see agentic AI as a way that teams can actually not only build autonomous agents, but actually build something that can be truly governed and auditable, which is what we provide through our Precisely Data Integrity Suite capabilities, establishing the data, the foundational data, and providing value to the end users, like Sam talked about, like closing the gap between insights and actions. And we're seeing the fruits of that, where customers are actively using our data integrity suite as a trust layer to deliver on their agentic AI goals.
Great. Yes, you have some similar frameworks across the 3 of you. That's interesting. I think we went outside of this panel, we may find some very different types of definitions, but it's interesting. We see some commonality in your interpretations. So Shantanu, I don't know if everybody here attending is really familiar with the partnership between Snowflake and Precisely. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit on that partnership and basically how does 1 + 1 make 3? To say, I guess, in terms of you supporting one another and also the customers and the businesses you support.
No, absolutely. So Precisely and Snowflake partnership is a really compelling partnership that we have because of how our solution really fits into every stage of the data management and data integrity workflow with Snowflake. Starting with the modernization use cases, we help insurance customers and the customers in the finance space and across telecom. We help them modernize their data stack. A lot of their mission critical data, business critical data lives in these legacy systems. So with data replication capabilities, we help replicate that data sitting in legacy systems to Snowflake where the customers can actually use that data to accomplish their data strategy goals and actually build advanced, innovative machine learning models and AI models. So we've been helping customers do that before it was actually cool. But then also customers can use that data in Snowflake once it's replicated to also improve business operations efficiency through data analytics use cases. But now once the data is in Snowflake, Data Integrity Suite, our flagship product, is now connected to both Snowflake and legacy systems. So we now provide our customers a unified view of their data in both places, showing them the transformation lineage throughout the data management journey. From there, our customers can actually start linking this data, their physical data, to the business layer, the semantic layer, and then start assessing this data, because we have seen each of our customers, we see like they have their own definition of, their teams have own definitions of good data. So our platform provides capabilities to do data assessment so that customers can set up data quality rules on top of the data in Snowflake, and then also build data remediation pipelines to further improve the data quality so that this data, the data underneath, is ready for autonomous AI agents. And then our customers can further use the same pipelines to further enrich the data using our address verification capabilities, which I'll let Amy speak to that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just to add on a few more sentences here from what Shantanu was saying. Precisely also has a marketplace through Snowflake where we offer a number of our location intelligence data products, anywhere from property data, address points, buildings, footprints, boundaries, streets, demographics, risk solutions. There's a whole slew of location intelligence data that we offer through our marketplace. But we also have our geo-addressing and data graph applications built natively in Snowflake that are offered through there. So any Snowflake user could use them through their Cortex AI models. So we look at, you can look at Snowflake as the AI platform while Precisely is bringing the data integrity layer.
I'm still kind of stuck on what Shantanu said about the work that we do is really cool. So I'm just really kind of relishing in that, but thanks for that. Sam, talk to me a little bit about how you at Snowflake see the relationship with Precisely.
Yeah, at the risk of not repeating what Shantanu and Amy already covered well, I would say from our vantage point, I would highlight is that this partnership with Precisely has earned its technical depth. Precisely Connect is Snowflake ready, technology certified. Their capabilities, as Amy said, are available directly on the Snowflake marketplace. For customers already on Snowflake, adding Precisely's data integrity layer doesn't require a new pipeline, a new data store, or a new governance framework. So it extends what's already there. And that is the kind of the native depth we look for in the ecosystem partners where Precisely today sits in.
Great. So a common phrase again that we're hearing throughout the conversation here is data integrity. So when we start to think of generative AI use cases, what's good enough in terms of data integrity when it comes to a generative AI use case versus what you may find with an autonomous bot or an autonomous use case? Amy, why don't we go ahead and start and direct that question to you?
Yeah. So good enough data for a generative use case means that it's relatively clean, relatively structured, but the AI may start to hallucinate over that data and provide bad results, right? Because there's really no instruction given to that AI on how to use that data. And so there still needs to be a human involved fixing and catching those errors that the AI results are producing. The autonomous AI agent needs to have a completely different data foundation. And you can see it right here on Shantanu's screen. What we keep saying at Precisely is autonomous agents need agentic ready data. And what that really means is your data needs to be integrated, it needs to be governed, it needs to be enriched. So it's contextualized, connected, and interpreted by that machine. So I would say the real difference here between good enough and data that's needed for autonomous is centered around having robust metadata that can be used to create semantic layers to provide those strict instructions to the agent.
Shantanu, how about you? What are your perspectives on that?
Yeah, like how Amy talks about the difference between the two for generative AI and the data that's needed for autonomous agentic systems. For generative AI, of course, there's tons of use cases. If the data for like RAG systems, if the data is not consistently changing, it's more static, and there's a human in the loop involved, there's absolutely a place for generative AI use cases. But the story for agentic use cases is different because we know that the quality bar for the data underneath is real high. Since the data that we are seeing, the themes that we are seeing across our customer base that Snowflake and Precisely has, we work with customers who are in highly regulated industries, and their businesses are booming and thriving, so their data is constantly changing. So for that type of data, you need observability, and you need monitoring to be placed on that data so that you can continuously see how the data quality has been improving over time or degrading over time, so that you can address those for agentic systems. For agentic AI, I would also say the data has to be something based on the certified data sets, not just like raw tables, so that the answers are deterministic. We know that bad quality data can silently flow through agentic systems. So the agentic systems get more and more confident with wrong information and starts hallucinating. So it's really easy to miss those data quality issues, and for those data quality issues to flow quietly through the agentic workflows. So having a semantic layer and certified data sets with high data quality is absolutely a must. And then lastly, for agentic AI, the data layer has to be trusted, because if it can be governed, if it's not traceable, not auditable, that would not lead to trust among the business stakeholders. So that is something we definitely prioritize as we think about data integrity suite and our capabilities.
Great. So Shantanu, we've touched a lot here on data integrity, but from your view and your experience, what are some of the most common data gaps that you're seeing that undermines AI performance? What are the things that organizations, what is it that they don't know what they don't know, I guess is what I mean to ask.
Yeah. There are lots of gaps that we have seen, but the common ones that come to mind is, as we speak to a lot of enterprise customers and different teams, we find that each team has their own definition of good data, and they all manage their own sets of master data sets or golden data sets. But what that does is, when it comes to actually improving business efficiency and reporting on common business objectives, that leads to a lot of discrepancies in data. So what we do at Precisely is that we provide a centralized repository of data quality rules that our customers can actually create on top of their Snowflake data sets, and then start governing those data sets for agentic AI use cases. So those are some of the common things I wanted to just call out that I've seen across the board. This was something that also came up during our conversations with a telecom customer that had the same problem. The billing team had a different definition of data. The customer support team has a different definition of what good address data is. So with the data integrity suite, we were able to help them centralize the data quality rules for each of these data sets, and providing them a unified view of their data layer.
Disclaimer, that wasn't Verizon that you were working with. Just Amy, are you seeing any other types of gaps, in your work with customers?
Well, I just like to echo what Shantanu said, but for me, the major gap, well, first of all, just so everyone has context here, I work with teams that build the foundational data, and I hand it over to Shantanu's team that he imports through the data integrity suite. So I am hearing all of the customer support issues that this address is wrong, or this boundary is in the wrong place, or this zip code is wrong. And I don't believe that there is a data set out there, especially the type of data that we work with at Precisely, where it's hundreds of billions of records with hundreds of attributes, sometimes thousands of attributes associated to a given property, for example. It's difficult. You can put the best quality framework in place, have the best quality platform, hundreds of checks at every step of your production pipeline, and it's still not going to be 100% perfect. And maybe I shouldn't say this in this call, but I don't think AI is going to solve that problem. So I think the biggest gap that companies are not seeing is the metadata that they need to support around their data foundations. I've worked in the geospatial industry for over 29 years, and metadata has been a constant conversation throughout all those years, going back in the early 90s when the Federal Geographic Data Committee built the first metadata standard for spatial data. And it was always looked at as like something that you kind of had to do. You would point out what's the coordinate system, what's the source of the data. And while that's still very much important, metadata is now becoming whole narratives around the data set, including, you have to tell the AI how to use this data, including, here's what I know about the errors in this data, so here's how you're going to need to use it for this telco use case or this insurance use case. Here's the attributes that you would need to use, or the data here's how you would run the data flows to solve this specific business solution. So I really think the biggest gap that folks are seeing is the metadata. They need to build strong metadata around their foundation, to be able to create those semantic layers for the AI and instruction for the AI.
Yeah, some real dangers in extrapolation of bad data can really explode on you for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Sam, what are some of the gaps that you see in your work?
Yeah. So building on what Shantanu and Amy said, at the platform level, I see a consistent pattern across our customers and partner base. Organizations have spent years building data for human consumption, dashboards, reports, self-service analytics, and humans are remarkable pattern matchers. So a good analyst sees a number that's off and will flag it. Agents don't do that. They take the data at the face value and act. So the gap I see most often isn't the dirty data in the traditional ways. It is the data that was optimized for BI but hasn't been calibrated for the autonomous action. Those are completely different bars. Most data teams haven't made that recalibration yet, and they don't realize it until an agent does something consequential and based on a record that otherwise an analyst or a human would not trust if they have looked at it themselves.
Great. So Sam, let's kind of like look at the flip side of that. So you work with dozens of ISV partners, and AI native startups across your work at Snowflake. From your vantage point, what are you seeing in terms of patterns across particular verticals, companies, big, small, medium? What are the patterns that actually are separating organizations from making real progress to those who keep getting pulled back in to dealing with foundational work? What is it you see there that's a commonality of success?
Yeah, that's a question I always try to refine every day and every week as the AI landscape is changing at an unprecedented level, especially the last 6 months, as we know, is whirlwind. But three things consistently. First, the fast movers treat the data integrity as a continuous operational layer, not a project. Snowflake gives them this governance foundation natively through something called we call Horizon, lineage, data quality checks, access controls, data contracts. The teams that are stuck treating these as optional or future state um, are not able to get the project to the finish line or getting stuck. The teams moving fast have them running from the day one as kind of the table stake. Second, they have committed to their data infrastructure. They are on Snowflake. they know where their data lives, and they're building upward, not relitigating all the time the platform every quarter while AI use cases wait in the backlog. And the third is they have brought in specialized partners to extend their native capabilities into the areas where they need the deepest data trust. Things like enterprise grade data resolution, address quality at scale, which Amy and Shantanu were talking about, location and intelligence enrichment, capabilities where going deep is the only way to earn the confidence an agent needs to act. And as I said, Precisely is a strong example of a partner that adds that depth natively inside Snowflake. The teams that have done all three are rare, but the number is increasing, have a structural velocity advantage, and that keeps on compounding every day, every month, every quarter. And the others, I would say, keep funding the cleanup cycles.
Great, great. Hopefully that's some good information for the audience here to hear. Moving back over to a more conversation about data integrity. Shantanu, so you work directly with Precisely data in terms of making it accessible to agentic AI clients. You work with Snowflake, obviously, and others. What surprised you most when you moved from the concept of AI-ready data to actually wiring it up? What was harder than you expected, and what worked better for you and was easier than you thought it would be?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, making the data integrity suite available through the MCP server and wiring it up to Cortex I was really surprised to see how easy that integration was. I also using Cortex on my desktop, the application. So it was fairly straightforward. I thought I might run into technical issues. And as I was testing the Cortex and our data integrity suite MCP server, I noticed that I was testing with the sample data, the address data set, and how quickly I was able to. I'm not even an expert like Amy is when it comes to the address verification enrichment, but I was able to use Cortex and Data Integrity Suite MCP server to build a data enrichment pipeline in less than like 3 minutes, which really exposed me quickly what were the data quality issues with the addresses that I had. Was able to quickly verify the data using our geo address verification capabilities. I was able to see the coded latitude, longitude, precisely ID, and 10, 15 more data points that we provide. So that was really mind blowing to see how quickly our customers can explore our data enrichment capabilities. And that's what I experienced too. What I also saw is having a number of conversation done with customers around using the data integrity suite MCP server to provide a semantic layer for enterprise AI agents. So our semantic layer sits on top of the legacy data we talked about that we replicate into Snowflake and the data in Snowflake. And our customers are really liking, they're satisfied with the results that they're seeing routing their AI agents through our MCP server to get the business context and then querying the data directly from querying the data from Snowflake. So that has been resonating really well with customers. But one of the challenges that I wanted to share with the group here was around that customers are happy with the results that they're seeing with our semantic layer and data enrichment capabilities for their AI agents. But now the IT teams are talking about, wow, we have this MCP server now, the data integrity suite has. I got this XYZ, another MCP server. So now they're in a state where they have tens and hundreds of MCP servers, depending on the use case. So what they talk about is like, how do they now manage and govern these MCP servers that are in pilot or the ones that can be rolled out at the enterprise level? And in that case, what we have been talking to our customers about is our AR governance capabilities, where we are constantly innovating using our data governance solution to also not only go beyond scanning the data sets, the data sources, the columns, and profiling, but we are also now working on our capabilities to also scan MCP servers, AI models, AI use cases, and whatnot, sitting in data sources. So that is something that we have been, this is how we're addressing the challenges when it comes to the MCP sprawl and model sprawl through our AI governance capabilities that we provide through Precisely.
Great. I heard quite a bit in there about taking voice of customer too, which I think certainly gives you really good, realistic feedback in terms of creating those cycles. But that's interesting. So Amy, you actually sit at the nexus of a lot of different data products at Precisely. You work closely with data quality, location intelligence, enrichment. When you look at agentic AI readiness holistically, where do you see most organizations actually break down? Is it with the quality of the data, governance, access, something different? What do you see with that?
Well, I wouldn't really see it as data quality versus governance versus access, because an organization can get all three of those things right, and the AI can still misread your data. What organizations really lack is that meaning layer, right? They need to have govern accessible data. They could have that clean and structured data that we talked about before, right? But nothing tells the AI, what do these fields mean? How do these fields relate? Is the data set even fit for purpose to answer their use case? So we've witnessed many organizations acquiring volumes of data, but what agentic AI really needs is data that can be interpreted without a human re-explaining it over and over again, right? It needs to act autonomously. So organizations really need to invest in those semantic layers built off of their metadata to give context to prevent the AI from hallucinating. And as Shantanu and Sam have been talking about, as an extra layer of guardrail, all that data and the tools that your AI is using should sit within an MCP server, right? So at Precisely, we're embarking on this Agentic Ready initiative, and it's built on a simple principle that meaning really needs to ship with the data. And so for each and every data set, we're creating these metadata envelopes, if you will. And inside those envelopes are things like what are the cataloging specifications, semantic registries that map attribute values to their code meanings, consistency on spatial indexing, consistent formats like native cloud formats like GeoParquet, and true data set narratives that talk about how all of our data sets at Precisely, whether it's boundary data sets, administrative data sets, streets, places, properties, risk, how all of these thousands and thousands of data points and hundreds of data sets we have relate to one another through their interoperability in our global ID system. So we're packaging this all up. And when we hand that over to the AI, we're actually allowing the AI to inherit that context instead of guessing at it. There's a complete structure around it.
So the frameworks and some of the discussion that we've had so far are certainly very interesting. I'm wondering if maybe you can perhaps walk us through some very specific examples or use cases of how, in practice, Precisely and Snowflake work together, and what does that data flow actually look like?
Yeah, I can take that one first, and Amy, maybe you can speak to that, the data enrichment side of things. But when it comes to like Precisely and Snowflake partnership, I wanted to start us off with the modernization use case. Like we talked about in the beginning, we have a number of customers, and their data, their business critical data, is still bound in the legacy systems and sitting on-prem. And now these customers want to actually use this data for data analytics, self-analytics use cases, and build dashboards and reports on top. And not only that, they want to build AI models, machine learning models on top of that in their Snowflake environment where they have already committed to their data stack. So we provide capabilities which allows customers to replicate the data from IBM mainframe DB2 to Snowflake. And setting this data replication pipeline is fairly easier now that we have our Geo AI assistant in the data integrity suite. Our customers can set up this replication pipeline within minutes, and that's what we are seeing. Or a lot of our customers have been taking advantage of that. And then once the data is replicated, the data integrity suite now has visibility because it's connected to both Snowflake and legacy systems. We provide our customers a unified view through our data catalog of all the data sources that they have connected to, the data sets, the columns. And from there, our customers then use our Geo AI assistant to further do automated curation, which is linking their data definitions to their physical data to further build, enhance the semantic layer that Amy was talking about. And our AI assistants that are built into the tool also provide capabilities around identifying which data sets are actually critical data elements, because there's so many data sets thousands of data sets that we catalog for these large enterprises. It's really important for our customers to first understand which data sets are truly critical for their use cases. So we help curate those, and once we have once the customers have already started to operationalize their data governance workflows, we help our customers to then use the same agentic capabilities we provide in the suite to further set up assessment on top of these data sets, which is we start recommending them, Don, depending on the data sets that they have identified as CDE, the one that we have recommended. We start then further provide them recommendations on data quality expressions. We see that these assets are critical for customers. We show them what are the different quality expressions they can create. And once customers create those, they can start seeing the data quality scoring around those data sets. And then from there, they can start doing data remediation through our data quality pipeline capabilities we provide. All that to say that we provide end-to-end modernization workflow, starting from copying the data from legacy system to Snowflake, to then helping them with governance, assessment, and then finally remediation. And then on top of that, we also provide enrichment, and I'll let Amy speak to that a little bit.
Thanks, Shantanu. Yeah, so I can give an example of what we do with some of our insurers. So we precisely, we work with many large insurers who often want to assess risk of properties, right? And we were able to showcase that using our geo addressing and data graph applications that are native in Snowflake. And so we built an agent for underwriters, and they could simply enter an address.
Did we lose Amy? I think we might have lost Amy. Hopefully she's able to join. Well, she works out technical difficulties. Sam, why don't we come back over to you? I'm interested in learning, as you oversee a lot of the ISV and the partner integrations, where does the handoff between Snowflake's platform, your capabilities, and a partner like Precisely actually happen when you're operationalizing data for autonomous AI? Maybe you can give us some illustrations of what that might look like.
Yeah, no, that's a very deep question. And this is where I want to be very specific, because trust the data is one of those phrases that everyone agrees with and almost very few people operationalize. Here is what actually requires when agents are acting without human in the loop or without human review. First, the lineage. You need to know where every piece of the data is coming from, what touched it, and when. That is like non-negotiable platform level requirement. And it is what Snowflake's Horizon governance layer provides natively. Before any integration, you should have lineage running on your Snowflake environment, and that's the foundation. Second, the enrichment confidence that Precisely is talking about. Not just is the field populated, but how certain that we are that this address, this entity, this identity is actually correct at the level that the agent needs to execute. This is where, again, specialized partners like Precisely adds enormous value. And Precisely adds that enrichment confidence layer, entity resolution, geo addressing, location intelligence, natively inside Snowflake, as Emmy was alluding to. There are a bunch of native apps that are built by Precisely that runs within the Snowflake environment, which means for customers, especially these regulated customers, insurers, compliance and regulation is table stake. They cannot have the data leave the governed environment. So this really makes it very, very powerful. And the depth at which, again, as Precisely as built, it makes the enrichment trustworthy at scale. And then the third is, um, again, governance, right? Governance at scale, and that travels. And this is not a policy document that you just apply at the data layer, because when an agent acts, you need auditability. Who authorized it? What data it used? What it decided? And that lives in the platform architecture, not the agent prompt. Um, the organizations getting this right trust operationalizational as an architecture decision, right? They don't just treat trust as like one of the important decision, like a policy decision, but as an architecture cardinal rule. And that is the shift I see, those three things as a definition of the trust.
Great. Yeah, that's all good stuff. I do think we lost Amy, but we're gonna keep rolling here. Hopefully she can rejoin us soon. Uh, so let's talk a little bit about like pragmatically some of the things that we might be able to help the folks here on the webinar. So I think we've all experienced before where we attend a conference or an event of some
Yeah.
sort, and we're all super energized, lots of great ideas. You walk out of there just ready to tackle the world, but life kind of hits you in the face, and you kind of get distracted. So um, as we kind of think about that phenomena that we all experience at some point in time, Sam, we'll start with you. But what are some of the things that you would say to the audience in terms of what you'd really want to kind of pragmatically go out and act on? What's the one concrete suggestion that you have for them in terms of, regardless of where they are in their journey, maybe just getting started, maybe kind of partway through, wherever they are. What would some of your suggestions be, Sam, to things that really do right away?
No, that's a great question, Don, because as a person like myself who is still like in that awe moment after the summit, super energized, and sometimes um, uh, it's like you get overwhelmed because of so much excitement and the palpable energy. But how do we really take some of the learnings and operationalize it is a great question. So I would always say start with the platform where you add anything, right? If you're already on Snowflake, turn on Horizon's data quality features if you haven't. Native data quality checks, lineage tracking, data contracts. These are available to you right now. They require no additional vendor, and they give you the baseline visibility that every downstream AI use case depends on. That's your, like, summit was like 2 weeks back, but say today is Thursday, tomorrow is holiday in US, Monday, that's your Monday morning work. Um, then within the same 90 days, audit one high value AI use case against a specific question. What data quality standard does this use case require for an agent to act on in a safely and a trustworthy manner without the human review as we're talking about autonomous agent. Not what data we have, but what standard does the agent need, as we have been talking about making data agent ready, not human ready. Once you
Right.
ask that question honestly, most organizations discover they need richer data set, better entity resolution, or deeper location context than they currently have. And this is where you go to the Snowflake marketplace and partners like Precisely, who have built native integrations, native applications for some of the things I've been talking about, like geo addressing, data enrichment. You you use them without like building like the complex pipeline or data leaving your environment. You can have enrichment running on your Snowflake data within the same quarter if you do that. Literally, it's that easy. And now, if the folks haven't heard about Snowflake Cortex Code, if you have been in Snowflake ecosystem, I highly encourage, because that further compresses like what you envision you can do like in a month, you can do now in a week. In a week, what you were thinking of, you can do in a day now. That's how much acceleration we are talking about. But this combination that I've been talking about, from turning on the native features to exploring, asking the question honestly, to leveraging the Snowflake marketplace, using the partners like Precisely for the enrichment layer, is the fastest on ramp and getting the production grade AI data ready that I have seen in our ecosystem.
Very good pragmatic suggestions, really defining where you're at, defining what you want to achieve, and kind of defining the things you're going to need to achieve it. Yeah, sometimes starting is the hardest part of getting to go, and so that makes some good sense. Those practical suggestions that you've made. Thanks, Sam. So a couple of things here. I think we're going to start to wrap up here so we can take some time for questions. But before we do, a couple more questions. So this is to Shantanu and Sam. Shantanu, we'll start with you. Where do you see the Snowflake and Precisely partnership going over the next year and a half, specifically around agentic AI use cases? And then Sam, I'd love to hear your take on that too.
Of course. As Sam mentioned, given our partnership with Snowflake, and we are seeing how our customers are actually taking advantage of that. The customers are seeing the fruits of the enrichment layer we provide with Snowflake Cortex as the data warehouse. Um, a good portion of our roadmap is actually committed to further enhancing the current integrations that we have with Snowflake, which is around providing like better security when connecting to Snowflake systems, around OAuth, building more native apps. We're going to be building a spatial analytics app as well. So heavily committed there. And then there's also tons of use cases around hybrid execution and whatnot. But the thing I'm truly excited about, not only is over the next 12 months, we're going to be not only providing our common set of customers our MCP server that they can integrate with Cortex or any other MCP client, but we're also going to be packaging skills and agents so that the use cases that Sam talked about, uh, uh, and you were also talking about like how daunting it can be to try new things with these skills and MCP servers. um, our customers will be able to quickly see the value, quickly be able to run on a sample data the address verification enrichment, and see how they can quickly design the data enrichment pipeline. So we're going to be making that a lot more easier, removing a lot of the friction, because we understand like how it can feel like a daunting task when you are um, looking to enrich your data and you don't know which data points to pick. So the MCP server would be able to, along with skills and agents that we're going to be packaging, is going to truly make our customers' life much easier when they're exploring different data sets and looking to design data pipelines.
Thanks, Shantanu.
Yeah. I think first of all, like I think AI has changed the definition of like 12 to 18-month roadmap. Like the things are changing at such a like unprecedented scale. I mean, I'm just talking about like 3 to 6 months, but and for two reasons. Like the things are evolving fast, and the two, what we thought we will do in like a year, people are able to do in like 3 months. So the compression is real across the board. But as Shantanu said, the direction is clear. I mean, Precisely has done something at a level which requires real commitment. They have gone deep on Snowflake natively. They're not just compatible, like just a plain vanilla integration. They are embedded, like they have built a lot of native apps. They are certified connector. They have apps, and this earns a different kind of partnership than generally like building a JDBC ODBC connector. And I expect this to further accelerate, like build more native apps, more agentic capability integration with MCP server, embedding like more Cortex agent workflows, um, not just pre-processing steps, but even before the agent started, how do we do some of these data quality enrichment stuff. The broader vision is straightforward, right? Snowflake is the platform where agentic AI runs. The partner ecosystem with Precisely as one of the leading partners in the data integrity is what makes every agent action provably trustworthy. This is I think I cannot state it enough. This has to be underscored because everyone is talking about running agents, and but can you have the fidelity? Can you have the trust in the answer the agent is providing, or you are going in the spiral death loop where the quality keeps on dragging? And so this is not a roadmap item. I would say this is a design principle, and together with Precisely, we are building it towards more deliberately than most.
Thanks. So that's some really optimistic news about the partnership itself. So thinking more broadly, and we'll finish on this question. Lot of good and bad reported about enterprise AI out there in the media. And, in terms of taking an optimistic point of view, what are you most excited about in terms of the direction of enterprise AI? And Shantanu, we'll start with you. But let's end this on a real positive message here. So, what are you most excited about when you see the industry in general and where it's headed?
Yeah, I would say as I talked to a number of customers, and as they're using like Snowflake, when they connect to Data Integrity Suite and start cataloging the data, they quickly realize how many raw data sets and data products they already have built into Snowflake, that then now they can actually provide access to their business teams to be able to create more BI reports, or to be able to do more operation efficiency initiatives. So that's something that our customers really like seeing, like how we helping them to democratize their data from Snowflake, because sometimes teams have tendency that Snowflake is a technical environment, and a lot of the data is already in there. So bringing that visibility at the business level is something that now with AI is going to even more exciting, because we are seeing how our customers are running their pilots with our semantic layer and seeing great results with be able to connect to our MCP server, get a governed response that Sam talked about, which is auditable and trusted, and then retrieve the data from Snowflake. So seeing the adoption and how quickly teams are moving to uh, be able to democratize access to this data through agents is something I'm really excited about. And I think even as a product manager, personally, as I try to also gather data from multiple places like Salesforce, Snowflake, it's just making my life much easier as I'm using governed agents through Precisely in Snowflake, and how it has made my life much more easier to be able to gather data, and which informs our business and our roadmap. So that's something I'm really excited about.
That's great. Yeah, I was just reflecting this morning on how different my workday is than it was even a year ago. It's incredibly different. Sam, how about you? What are some of the things you're really excited about as we go forward?
Yeah, first of all, I'm to your comment, right? We are all, I think, in this forum are excited. We are not believing in the doom and gloom
Mm.
scenario of the AI. we believe in the world of abundance, and I think for the right reasons, because there is always this, as we have seen in the Gartner hype cycles and everything. I think we are in this phase where customers are moving from experimental phase to the production, right? How they can identify some of the real use cases that can have the ROI and drive the real outcomes for the business, not something like we build this app which was exciting but now nobody is using it, right? But in general, what I am generally excited about is the maturity of the partner ecosystem forming around the enterprise AI. I work with ISVs and AI native startups every day. And what I'm seeing is that the organizations are building the most production grade, trustworthy AI systems, and they're not trying to do everything themselves, because speed is the king and queen in the business, as we know, the cliche, and it has been, it's not, um, it cannot be more true than ever in this time, right? And they're saying we'll be exceptional on the platform layer, and we will partner with companies who are exceptional at data integrity, enrichment, governance, and their specialized capabilities that make autonomous action safe. And partners like Precisely are a strong example of what the partnership looks like when done well. um, and the broader trend, that ecosystem is specialization, is what I'm most optimistic about, and I'm seeing it accelerate. Customers are now asking, what does the partner ecosystems looks like for AI readiness? Before they ask, really, like, what model should I use? And that shift from model first to the data and ecosystem first is, thank God, the right one. And it is what makes these conversations much easier, much outcome driven, and successful for everyone involved, all the stakeholders.
Thanks. A lot to look forward to. And I see Amy's back. She's just in time for her to get the to-do list that we created while she was out.
I really apologize. We're having a wicked storm here in Vermont, and it
Oh,
knocked out my power. And
be
I live in an
safe.
area with no cell service, so I have to kind of wait until my generator kicks in. So I apologize.
Oh, we'll be safe. I think we have a couple more minutes left for some questions. There are some questions in the chat that I'll read so everyone can see them and hear them. First question, do Snowflake and Precisely support the use of synthetic data with agents? Amy, you want to take that one?
Well, I guess I'm wondering what they mean by synthetic data. If they mean like data that's derived from other data or data that's derived from a machine, uh, then yes, we support that. We build that into our own foundational products as well. Sam or Shantanu, do you have experience with synthetic data?
Yeah, so I mean, we have, as I said before, Codex code at Snowflake. Now, with just a simple English prompt, you can generate the synthetic data that is very bespoke to the specific use case, business problem that you're trying to do. And then, obviously, if you want to, munch the data and do that pre-processing and all that, then together with Precisely, you can add that governance layer. And I see that all the time during the ideation phase, customers generate the synthetic data.
Thank you, Amy and Sam. So we're going to try to squeeze in one last question real quickly. Are there existing PB and Snowflake customers that can be mentioned that are already seeing benefits from this approach? What kind of quantifiable benefits are they seeing? Anyone want to take that one?
Well, I know for at least the Snowflake users, so I'm just seeing the other question in chat about big data. That's essentially what we make, is big data and provision it all through Snowflake. So when you're a Snowflake user, you can access and run all of your AI workflows right on the Snowflake platform using big data sets through your Snowflake shares. So I know that I love to do it. I was telling Sam as we were prepping for this call, I just have a Mac machine here. I don't have some big massive machine that I can download gigabytes of our data. And so whenever I need to query our data, I go right on the Snowflake and I access it directly and I process it right on the Snowflake platform. So I would say, the benefit that our clients are seeing is not having to load in all of this data themselves, ETL the data themselves. It's all in one environment, one framework that contains the data, the governed data, the AI platform, and they can run all of their workflows right then and there. There's no ETL process involved at that point.
Yeah, I think Amy summed it up well, but just so if you think about Snowflake is a platform, right? And um, you I like to call it like your imagination is the kind of the limitation. And with Snowflake, like you have the data from the different sources, you can enrich the data, which is where I think someone asked Snowflake and precisely joint customer value. Most of the data that the enterprises have need to be made more contextual, need to be made more agent ready. And that's where these financial service companies which need the geospatial data that is high fidelity, which doesn't like even a small error can cost like millions of dollars, is where we have a lot of customers seeing the value. um, and I know we are over time, so I was just trying to run as fast as I can, but I want to pass on to Don if you have any further comments or thoughts.
You just try to add more sentences than Amy did earlier. I know it's a competition now, right?
I want to
Yeah.
give Amy more
So
time now.
yeah. So guys, thank you. I know we are over time. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed the conversation. I like the sense of optimism and a lot of the good pragmatic feedback that you all gave during our conversation today. And I look forward to connecting with you all again here sometime soon. And I hope the folks who were able to attend got value from what we discussed here today. I know I did. But Amy, Sam, Shantanu, thank you. Jenna, thank you for kicking us off. We appreciate the conversation. Everyone have a great afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you all so much for joining us. Great insights, Sam, Amy, and Shantanu. And a special thank you to Dawn for moderating. If you missed any of the webinar or want to rewatch anything, the recording will be available a few minutes after the webinar if you refresh this page. Thank you again to our partners at Precisely. We'll see you next time.